Hello, everyone. Today we are back with another lesson, which is our final topic. So today our final topic is going to be about Microsoft Excel. And I know that this was a quite challenging topic for everyone on the test. I think almost everyone struggled in at least four parts of the standards that are met by the test itself. And it's pretty understandable because Microsoft Excel is not an easy thing. It's not something you just like learn and something that's you just memorize. And even for me, I don't know all of Excel, right? Because Microsoft Excel is so big and we people don't really like no one knows all of it unless you've literally like developed Microsoft Excel itself. So today we're going to get into some of the basics and then we're going to learn some terminology. We're going to learn some cool features and then we're going to kind of get into more stuff in another video. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to think about what is Microsoft Excel and what can it be used for. So I'd like you to take a second, pause this video, and maybe kind of think, or if you're with someone, just kind of talk to them. What do you think Microsoft Excel is, and what can it be used for? So just take a second and pause this video, and we will be right back. Okay, so Microsoft Excel is used to organize and quantify large amounts of data. And when we use Excel, or when we look at Excel and what it is, it's basically a spreadsheet software that is able to take numbers and we are able to do things with those numbers in very, very simple terms. And I think the most important thing about this is its capacity to actually take such large amounts of data and the scale it can actually do that up to. So that's what Microsoft Excel is. And you guys might have heard like people track their finances in Excel. They track their budgeting. They track all this different types of stuff. So yeah, that's what that part is. Okay, so now let's get into some stuff, starting with some terminology. And we are going to be talking about the ribbon first. So I think this was one of the first questions on the test. And this is the panel at the very top of your screen that houses various options and commands you can use to optimize your spreadsheet. And this is very, very important because here is up in that button, up in that rectangle. That's where all the magic happens. That's where it's able to do different things like formatting, currency calculation, budgeting, and all those table thingies. It's all really cool. So all that happens up there in what we call the ribbon. Okay, so and I can actually show you a quick example of that. Okay, so I got Excel opened up, and this right here, this upper bar that you see, that is actually the ribbon. And I think you might be wondering, well, why is it black for you? Well, this is a slightly updated version of Excel that I have on my computer, but the test, the one that it simulates, is actually not as updated. It's a little bit on the older side, but the general concept is the same. It is, in fact, still called the ribbon. And again, it just houses all your different options and all the cool buttons and features you want to do in Excel. That's where all of them will be. Okay, so with that under our belt, now let's talk about, oops, we got a little bit ahead. We're going to talk about the grid and active and non-active cells, which are two different types of cells. So the first thing we're going to notice that you might notice when we're on Excel, you notice that it's basically defined in a grid-like way. And there are multiple different cells. And each cell has its own little like storage space. And you can obviously put so much stuff in one cell, but the reason for it is so you're able to make lists, columns, or whatever you might want to do. So for example, if I put something right here and I called it grocery item, right? And I'm going to make this column a little bit wider by hovering over between the A and the B. And then I had something here, like I had, vegetables. And then I kept going down, right? And then here, if I added something called price. And then I would track how much was each item, and then I kind of would keep going based on that. Now, the important thing to know here is that is exactly why Excel has actually formatted and structured these cells in a way so that we can align them with each other, we can compare them, we can do different types of things, and that's why they're in this grid format. We can have them as lists, and we can do all sorts of cool things. So I want you to kind of now, well, let's just play around with this a little bit. So we know that these are the like different types of cells. We know all the like these, the whole part of Excel is made up of spreadsheets, or I mean, made up of cells. So we know that right here, I have a cell and I've clicked on it. And now let's talk about what this cell would be called. How would we refer to this cell? Well, just like kind of like a table or like a little I don't know if you guys have ever played the game Battleship, but it's basically like a grid system similar to Excel. And in that, you also have a letter based for the columns and a row based tracker for the rows, or a number based tracker for the rows. So in this case, if we were trying to find what we would refer to this highlighted cell as, the one with the little green box around it, we would first look at the top and we would say, okay, which row is this under? Or which column is this under? Sorry. And you would say, well, it's not under A, but it is under B. And then you would also go to the row section and you'd go, it's not at 1, it's not at 2, it's not at 3, it's not at 4, but it is at 5. And another way to kind of simplify this process, because if you're all the way down here and you're at row 151 and you're in column P and you don't really want to know, you don't want to count up all that many times, you can just look right here. Right here will tell you on the top left, or not the top left, under the ribbon, remember, which is this panel right here, it'll tell you which what your cell is. So right here, this is cell E145. This is cell E82. This is cell J84. And like you can keep kind of tracking and you can kind of play around with that. And I think that's a really useful feature. I myself didn't learn it till too long ago, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so now let's move on to the next part of our discussion, and we're going to be talking about sheets. So for Excel, we want to think about Excel. Each file, each project you open within it, you want to think about it like a book, a giant book with many, 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 many pages. And each page would represent a sheet. And in each sheet, the reason they have this is so that you don't have to create multiple different projects and have them multiple different files and have them correlate to the same idea. You can have it all in one and you can be organized. So let's kind of look at how this works. So right now you're seeing like we have, let me actually delete these. Okay, so we have this blank Excel sheet, and I'm just gonna put something hello here. And you can see that this is actually a sheet. This is one sheet. If we look at the bottom of our screen, you see that this is something that says gas money and it's highlighted in white. This means that the sheet we are currently on is named gas money. And before it was actually named sheet 2. And how would I rename this? Well, I was just there. Whoops. What you would do is you basically double click on the sheet name, you double click, and then it will highlight, and then you're going to type in whatever you want. I'm just going to name this sheet 2. Now, how do we switch between sheets? And now remember, when we're talking about switching between sheets, think of it like flipping pages for a book, and you're kind of navigating to the next page or another set of data you might have. So if I named this entire sheet and I called it budgeting, I might have one sheet right here, like for groceries, like I have already. And the next one, which I had named before, I might have it called gas money. So I'm still organized within the entire file system, but I'm also keeping it condensed and I'm keeping it focused to one type of file. Okay, so and to switch between sheets, you would just click on it, kind of like a page, and you can kind of see how, like right here for groceries, I had like just a random list here, and I have fish, tomatoes, and celery, and I notice once I click on gas money, it opens like a new page. So that is what a sheet is. Okay, cool. So we talked about creating and renaming sheets. Now, I want you to think about this next topic that we have. Oops. What is the control button used for on our computer? And maybe you might want to ask someone that might be near you if you're not as sure, but try to get an answer. If you want, you can Google it as well. This is the one time I'll let you kind of, sneak up the answer. But think about it. When have you used it, and what would be a proper definition of it? And yeah, so pause this video and then we will get right back to it. Okay, so it looks like we are back, and I want you to kind of just think about what you thought of what the control button is used for, and I'll kind of compare it to what I am going to tell you what it actually is used for. Okay, so the way I like to think about the control button compared to all the other keys on the keyboard is like a light switch. So every other key on the keyboard, I like to think of as a light switch. A regular on and off, you can either click a command or you don't. Like it. And when you click it, it either does the command or it doesn't, right? If you don't click it, it's a one-time thing. Each button has its own purpose. And now I like to liken the control keybind itself to be kind of like a light, like dimming the lights, like a switch that can turn the brightness down or up between 0 and 100%. And the reason I'm saying this is because, well, if I asked you, if you just had a regular light, like flipping switch in your room, could I ask you to, hey, can you dim the lights by 40%? If I ask you that, well, you can't do that, right? Because your thing can only turn it on and off. But if you had a dimmer, not only could you turn it off and on completely, but you can also dim the lights to an extent on how much you want or what you need it for. So similarly, on the control button for the keyboard, we have all these different buttons, right? Kind of going back to that example. If I click this button, it either does something or it doesn't, right? If I don't click it. But if I click the control button and then I click another button on the keyboard, it'll give me a whole new set of options for each individual button on the keyboard. Let's take a look at an example. And we're going to cover copy paste, I think, in later in the slideshow, but I'm going to give an example now. Control C is a very, very commonly known term. It's a universally known keyboard slang, and everyone knows it as copy. When you copy something, when you have text you want to copy, when you have an image you want to copy, your computer grabs it and it puts it in its memory. So now I want you to know, if you just clicked the letter C, which is right here on the keyboard, would it still copy? No, it wouldn't. Well, yeah, you're right. It would not copy because there's nothing, it's just a light switch, right? We have to ask the dimmer to copy, but the light switch can only print the letter C, or it cannot print it at all. But the dimmer itself gives us more options. And in this case, the dimmer is the control button. If we click control and we click the letter C at the same time, then it would copy instead of clicking C by itself. And similar to with that analogy, I know it's a bit confusing, but I think I'm not explaining it in the best way, but I feel like if you also did some research and you have some experience with this, it kind of clicks as you keep moving on to it. And as we move more into the lesson, I think you might understand it a little bit better. So don't get disappointed or confused. This was something I didn't really understand until, like, obviously until not until I was as old as you guys, but until a few years of like kind of putting this in my brain. So the fact that you guys are doing it at this age is incredible. Okay. Yeah, so back to the lesson. Again, we talked about if I just click C on its own, it wouldn't do anything. It would just print the letter C. But if I click Control C, it's another option. It's part of the dimming scale, right? Like that's another way to kind of think of it as from the light switch. Okay, so now right here, what are these buttons for? And I'm sure you guys might have seen this on like a Google Doc, if you guys have it open, or a Word doc or a PowerPoint or anything that has text in it. You might have seen these buttons and these options. We are going to actually look at the top one a little bit later, but after these three. But the B, the I, and the U with a little underline. Let's see if you can pause the video and take a guess as to what it might be. Okay, so we're just going to do a little grand reveal. The B is to bold text. If you want something to stand out more inked, something that is a little bit bolder, you would click the B button. And we are going to look at that after. We're going to look at all these buttons once we kind of cover through them. The I is to italicize. That is to make things kind of slanted, and it kind of shows it with the letter I itself. That is pretty slanted in the picture. And the U is to underline, and that's pretty straightforward, just underlining whatever text is there. So right here, we're going to kind of go to Excel. We have the word hello. And if I highlight it, remember, highlighting is just telling the computer, hey, this is something that I've highlighted. I want you to be ready to do something with this, perform some action on it. So if I highlight it and you see right here, I have these three buttons, the same bold, underline, and italicize. They're right here in the ribbon, and they are under the font category, as you can see. We are going to click bold, and it becomes a little bit bolder. Now let's try italicize. So we're going to highlight them again, all the letters. If we click italicize, it'll kind of slant it a little bit. It's a little bit hard to see. Let's see, can I zoom in anywhere here? I think I can. Oops. Right here. Okay, I think I did zoom in. Okay, so yeah, so as you can see, it was not italicized before, like right now, but now if I click the little I button, it will italicize. And then, of course, if I underline it by clicking the little U button, we can have a little underline. And it's really cool because you can make these things stand out in your text, right? Like if I wanted this to be like a title, maybe I would like bold and italicize it to make it look a little bit nicer. Okay, so those are the controls for the different like types of text formatting, I guess you could call it. And now I remember this button right here. This is the currency button. And what it does is it basically converts all numbers into a currency type format. So right here, if I type like $45, right? If I say or $45 and like 78 cents. Let's just say if I was tracking the price of my um let's see. I bought a new I don't even know. I bought some new headphones, right? And here, delete these, and I said they were $45.78. Now I would if I highlight this, right? And if I click the little or sorry. So in this, okay, yeah. So this is a little bit tricky. I didn't even realize. I don't know if you guys caught on, but if I just click the box, I'm not, whenever I'm dealing with currency, you're not going to highlight the characters itself, but you're just going to click the box and make it the active cell. Remember, the active cell is the one with the little green box around it. So whatever you want to change to currency format, you would click the little active cell and until it's green. So as you can see, this is cell B3 and it is finally active. So we're going to click that. We're good on that. And then under number, which is on the ribbon right here, we're going to click this little $sign and it changes it into currency. And the reason it is really, really valuable to do this is if you have another number right here, we can actually, I type in like $34.98. And if I change this to currency as well, you can do some really cool things with these and you can sum them up. You can take the average. It's really, really cool stuff. So yeah, we'll get into that in our next lesson for Excel, but it's really, really cool on people. And especially knowing how to do this is a really cool feature. And this will help you with your budgeting, right? Like let's just say if I bought some school supplies that were that much. Oops. I don't know why that disappeared. I bought some school supplies and I like if I just have like these items that are just like keep going down and if I can literally I can drag my mouse over them and I can sum all of them up. I can create averages. It's really, really cool stuff. So I can show you we will go over that all in the next video. So yeah, so be ready for that. But basically the important thing to know with currency, it is useful and it's always gonna be here in the ribbon panel under the number category. So it's literally just something that changes your decimal so the computer understands that this is actually money you're dealing with. Not real money, obviously, but in terms of money. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this concept of merge and center. And I want you to take a second, read the definition that I have on the slide, and see if you can make any sense of it before we cover it. So pause the video and then see where you get with that. Okay, oops. So merge and center, let's read the definition together. It allows you to take multiple cells and merge them into one larger cell and then center that data within the cell. So let's take a look at what all that means. That is a lot of words that say cell. There's a lot of words that say data and multiple, and it is driving me nuts. So let's kind of simplify this, right? So if I kind of come back here, right, I'm going to delete all of these. Oh, whoops. All right, so I'm going to delete all of this, and let's just say I was creating a new list, right? And I wanted to create a list of the people that are coming to my birthday party. And if I called this like guest list for my birthday party. So as you can see right here, this is a little bit of a problem because when I type this, it kind of converges into the other cells. Now, and it looks a little bit weird because now if I want to have a name here, these two letters are just kind of sticking out and they're in the wrong cells. So the thing is, one solution that people usually do for this is they will take the column for A and they will just extend it and they will make it wider. And yeah, that does work, right? Because everything is in cell A now. But notice how all of these get really big. And you don't want that to happen because then your spreadsheet kind of looks a little bit weird. So what merge and center does, it says, hey, I know you have a large amount of text that you want to put inside one cell and it doesn't seem to fit. So let me help you with that. What I'll do, tell me how many cells you want to spread your text across and I'll make it look pretty, which is a really, really cool thing. So let's kind of try that right now. So right now we have cells A, B, C, and we're gonna spread the words guest list for my birthday party. We're gonna spread them across cells A through D, and we're going to tell it to center, to merge it and center it, and keep all the other cells the same length. And let's see what happens when we do that. Did you guys notice what button I clicked? Think about it. And okay, let me tell you. I went in the home panel of the ribbon, right? It's this one right here. I went under alignment. And then I went under this under the second row, or in the second row under the first row, and I covered over this button and I got merge and center. It looks like a little box with two arrows pointing outward. I wanted to like kind of sneak that up on you guys, so I was seeing if you guys were paying attention. But yeah, that is how you merge and center. Notice how across cells A, B, C, and D, it spread it out. It made it look pretty. It was centered, and all other cell sizes stayed the same. And that is the most important thing in merge and center, because obviously, like I told you, right, we could have just made this really, really big, but then all the other cells would have been bigger as well. And we didn't really want that because it doesn't look good. So yeah, so that is how we do merge and center. Okay. Okay, so the last thing we are going to talk about is freeze. And I have a little fun title, Everyone Freeze. We used to do this in class in first grade from in my math when we were learning math. We'd have like a bunch of multiplication drills and we would just try to get through as many as we could. And then the teacher would go, Everyone freeze. And I don't know, for some reason that just kind of stuck with me. So I decided to use it on this part of our journey in learning Excel. And we are going to learn how to freeze a panel or freeze the heading row of Excel. And this was one of the questions on your test. So this is the last thing we're going to do in this video. So first thing, what's going to happen is I'm going to open up Excel. And I want you to know that our goal right here in this command is to, so like imagine if we had this list, right? And so we do have the list. We've named it guest list for my birthday party. And we have named it that. And we want to like, so imagine if I added a bunch of names here, right? At column 8 in cell A2, A3, A4, A5. And let's just say I kept going and I had 30 guests and I filled them all up into right here. And it just kept going past the screen. So I had to scroll down. But what if when I scroll down, notice how if I scroll down, the top header goes away. Do you guys see that? If I scroll down, whatever I typed on the top, which is guest list for my birthday party, it went away. What if I wanted it to stay there? And the reason I'd maybe want that is because if you have multiple lists, like named one, like for example, if here we had guest list for my birthday party, then we said, okay, did they RSVP? Did they confirm? Did they do that? All of that. It's helpful to know what each column is for in terms of organization. So when you scroll down, when you have like a really long list, it just stays up at the top. And I'll show you what I mean. So what's going to happen is we're going to go to the ribbon and we're going to click on, instead of home, because we're usually in the home panel of the ribbon, we're going to go to the button that says view. And we are going to try to freeze the first row. And we're going to do that in this button that says freeze panes, except we're not going to click freeze panes. We are going to click this little arrow. Or actually, I think if you click anywhere on freeze panes, you will click that button and it'll give you an option. And then you're going to click freeze top row. And once you do that, no matter where I type, so let's just kind of practice, right? If I have a name here, if I have Shlok, Martha, John, and here I could, and then like number 41, I could put like Shlok's cousin or something, right? So these are all the people I want, but notice how even when I keep scrolling, the top part of my title for the list, it doesn't go away. It stays there. And that's what we want, right? Because we want to be able to identify, because a lot of the times in Excel sheets, when people are using it for really large data sets, they have huge amounts of like a huge amount of rows. And this number right here that we are seeing, we only saw it go down to like 30 or 40, but it can go down to like several hundred. And imagine if you're at row 527 and you're thinking, oh, wait, what was this column for again? And you have to scroll all the way back up to the header and you have to realize, oh, wait, that was for this. And then you scroll all the way back down to row 527. It's a big time waste. So rather, it just makes more sense to freeze the header row so it never moves off that part of the screen. And as you can see, we froze it. So it's sticking with us, even though it's at column 1 over here, or row 1, and it's still sticking with us. And then we have my name right there, and you can see it's dynamic, it's moving with us. And yeah, so that is how you freeze the header row. Again, remember that is a question on your test. So if you need a little bit more clarity, feel free to email me or ask me or rewatch this part of the video a little bit more. Yeah, but that is actually it for Excel in terms of this lesson. I know this was a really tough lesson, but feel free to watch it again. You know, you might learn something. Feel free to Google things. Feel free to ask me questions. You can text or call me. I'm always available and I'm always ready to help you guys. If I went over something too fast, I apologize, because it's harder for me because I'm not able to kind of know what pace you guys are at, with whether with my in-person class, I'm at least able to know how they're kind of reacting to me. But yeah, otherwise I think I'm done here for the day. But yeah, please let me know what you guys think about this. And if you have any questions, don't feel hesitant to reach out. Alrighty. Bye-bye. Have a good day.